word of warning? The character of Master Voluminous is simply that, a character. He might not be evil, but he is definitely a bastard. So try not to let what he says offend you, okay? Enjoy. Greetings, listeners. Welcome back to the world of beauty and media. Welcome to Mortiferous Arcadia. I am the mighty Master Voluminous, teacher, commentator, and most importantly, to you, storyteller. Today we continue the Voluminous Reads series by reading the second of 6 stories in the horror novella Phinki by Enyadike. For the neophytes who are just joining us, it is currently Women's Month in the nation of South Africa. So in honor of them, we are reading 6 stories about women in abusive relationships and dangerous situations being possessed by a monster known as Phinki. In the last episode, we looked at Akhona Dala, whose husband had caused her to have a miscarriage. You can listen to that on the podcast. In this episode, our focus is on a young woman named Akhona Dala. Before we begin reading, I am going to list all the ways in which you may seek more content or an audience with the Master. First, check out mortiferousarcadia.blogspot.com. That is our main website. Or send an email to mortiferousarcadia@gmail.com if you wish to express how this story made you feel. Look up Mortiferous Arcadia on Facebook and Wattpad. And finally, search Master Voluminous on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, DeviantArt, or Pinterest and give us a follow. Phinki by Enyadike is available on Amazon. Now then, on to the story. Akhona Dala. She comes out of the shower, ready to get dressed for work. Her phone vibrates on the table next to her bed. She sees 10 messages, all of them from the same number, deletes them, and dresses up. Once dressed in her uniform, she goes downstairs to have breakfast, a ham sandwich. While eating, her phone vibrates again. Another 5 messages from the same number. Once again, she deletes them without bothering to look at any. Finishes her sandwich, washes the plate, picks up her bag, and exits the house to her car. When she reaches the first stoplight, she sees a green car in the rear view mirror. Her heart rate rises slightly. She takes a few deep breaths and keeps her eyes forward. The light turns green and she drives off, the green car staying behind her. She makes a left turn, and so does the green car. Breathing deeply becomes harder. Her grip on the wheel becomes tighter. Her heart keeps beating faster and faster. The green car makes a right turn at a junction and does not appear again. She reaches the supermarket, exits the car, manually locks it, before quickly heading inside. Placing her bag in the staffed locker room and greeting her co-workers, she goes to an empty till and opens it, allowing customers to pay for their goods. The shop is fairly busy today. She serves 15 customers. The 16th makes her heart rate rise as it did before. He does not have any goods to pay for, but he does have a frown and a line slowly forming behind him. She fakes a smile and kindly asks him to leave. He does not. He demands to speak to her. She shakes her head, no longer smiling but maintaining politeness. He gets closer, and the gentleman behind him intervenes, telling him to leave her alone. The gentleman is pushed away, and she immediately calls security before a fight breaks out. He is led out by the guards, staring angrily in her direction. She thanks the gentleman and scans his items. 5 hours later, her shift ends, and she goes to collect her bag. Once outside, she checks for both her car key and her phone. 10 messages and 7 missed calls. All deleted, the phone is put back in her bag. She reaches her house to see the green car parked in her driveway. Her heart rate picks up again, and she keeps driving, hoping he does not see her. The green car reverses out onto the road and blocks her path. He gets out of the car and asks her to do the same. She shakes her head and looks for her phone. He walks over to her window and taps on it, asking her to come out and talk to him. She ignores him and pulls out her phone. She presses the power button, but the screen remains black. Presses it again and again, then holds it down until the phone begins a booting up sequence. He is no longer asking. He pulls on the door handle and demands she come out. The phone slips through her fingers and falls to her seat. She starts to back her car up, turns into another driveway, and then drives away from him. The green car follows her. There are no other cars on this road. She picks up her phone and presses the power button. The screen is still black. Tears start to form, and her breathing is shaky. She presses the button repeatedly until the screen lights up, showing her a lock screen. She taps in the password. The phone unlocks, showing another black screen. She groans and swears. The green car turns left. Her breathing eases. She stops the car on the side of the road and restarts her phone. It turns on just as she sees the green car coming down the road in front of her. The phone finally works, and she presses the phone icon. She checks her contacts and taps the one called police. The screen goes black again. She shrieks and hits the steering wheel. She holds down the power button. Again, a vertical white line appears on the screen. It becomes pink and widens into an oval shape. A black dot appears in the center. She drops the phone, and her hands grip the steering wheel. Her foot presses down on the accelerator. She drives the car into the oncoming lane. The green car stops. She could see him smirking and shaking his head. The two cars are of equal size. Her foot rises and slams down on the accelerator. Her breathing speeds up and becomes laughter. Loud, unearthly laughter. Her grip tightens, denting the steering wheel with her elongated fingers. She leans forward in her chair, feeling her mouth widening as she continues to laugh and laugh. The laughter is drowned out by the sound of metal crunching, a pained scream, the smell of powder and gas, the impact of a white sack. She feels gravel on her face, sees the crushed cars in front of her, and hears the sound of ambulance sirens in the distance. She tries to get up. Her right leg is broken. Moving it brings pain. Looking around, she sees that the front of both cars are crushed, with the green car taking far more damage. Blood stains the driver's side window. His arm is on the ground in front of her. Only his arm. In its hand sits her phone. The phone vibrates and rings. The laughter playing at full volume on the speaker. Over and over as the sirens grow ever closer. In the immortal words of the great Wesley Snipes,
some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Why don't I make my own version? Some motherfuckers always gotta stand in the middle of the road while a speeding car is rushing at them, driven by their possessed ex-girlfriend who they spent the entire day terrorizing. I mean, seriously. Can't this guy take a hint? She does not want nothing to do with you. And he ends up getting crushed in his car. And the worst part is her phone. Don't you just hate it? When you're in a crisis and your phone just stops working? Honestly. You humans and your incredible advancements in your technology. And yet, I see it every single time. You take 2 steps forward and about 5 steps back. Because those old brick phones that I've seen you use in the past, they wouldn't have this issue. I've heard stories of people who've found those old phones after years with the battery still being at halfway percent. Meanwhile, your smartphones die in seconds. Honestly, ridiculous. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed our little story time. Oh, and on the advice of counsel, I've decided to be a little more engaging. So I've mentioned the various ways in which you can contact me. First of all, the email, mortiferousarcadia@gmail.com, where you can send me your own Phinki tale. Yes. Or you can tell me a real tale of abuse or danger, where Phinki might have intervened. And don't worry, it'll be completely anonymous. Your names will not be mentioned. But I would be interested in hearing. Goodbye, listener.